The seasons are shifting and the first signs of spring are starting to peek through. Here in Zone 7A, the daffodils, tulips, and even the garlic greens are making their way up through the ground, while the trees are working on their buds. And our strawberry plants? They're already showing fresh green leaves through last year's mulch, all of which indicate spring is on the horizon. Of course, we know we still have a few months before we can plant anything directly into the garden, but now is the perfect time to get a head start on the growing season. Today, we're starting some of our favorite seeds indoors, giving them a strong beginning before they make their way into the garden this May. And if you're itching to dig up some dirt, grab your seeds and join me, and let's get growing on some of our favorite plants. Last week we shared a little video about getting our seeds ready and organized for the spring. So today is the day that we're actually going to take some of that organization and put it into practice. We are right now experiencing what we like to call our false spring. We are into March. Some of the days are really beautiful and warm, and other days are freezing cold. We'll probably get another snap of snow at some point during the month. So we can't quite put seeds into the ground. It's just too cold. Now, some things, like cabbage or lettuces or things like that, we can put in the ground, some of them. But a lot of things like tomatoes or peppers, things that need really high temperatures to be happy and growing, we can't do yet. So instead, today we are going to take those seeds and we are going to put them in some of our trays, and we're going to start those seedlings indoors so that those plants have some time to grow and are big enough to go out in the garden in mid to late May for our homestead. We also are starting some of our plants to go into our farm stand. So each spring, at the end of April or May, we open up the farm stand and we offer some of the plants that we've grown indoors and then hardied up to people in our community. So we have a lot to do today. Let me take you along and show you kind of how I do it. Before we can do anything with our seeds, we need to start with getting our trays ready. And it's really important for healthy seeds and plants to start with a good seed starting mix. We try and find an organic option, but really the best choice is whatever you can get locally for yourself. You can sometimes shop online and find some different soil options. But a good seed starting mix should be nice and lightweight and make it really easy for those seeds to push through as they start to sprout. So using a regular potting soil will work, but it isn't quite as effective. So those seed starting mixes oftentimes have like peat moss and things that are a little bit lighter weight for your seeds to sprout through. To get your mix ready, I always add water. So I put my seed starter into a bowl and add water to it, and then I mix it really well with my hands. I want a nice moist soil, but not soaking wet. Too much water will actually rot your seeds instead of helping them grow. You don't want to drown those seeds. So you want the soil to start out moist so that it'll pack well into each of your seed trays, but you don't want it damp and muddy, if you will. So it should still be able to dry quickly, but it has moisture in it, and that will help that seed to start. Once that soil is ready, you're going to fill your trays. You want those trays to be packed pretty tightly so that you can have um, seeds that have strong roots. If the cell doesn't have enough soil, the seedling won't develop as strong a roots, and those strong roots really are the foundation for the healthy plants. Once those trays are filled, it's time to get ready to put our seeds together. And I start by making plant markers for every single row in my tray. And trust me when I say trying to label just one or two rows always leads to a mix up in plants. So we always will have one marker for each of the cells in our tray. So if I have three of the same type of tomato plant right next to each other, I still will make three different markers for each of those tomato plants. It just makes things a little bit less stressful when I'm trying to figure out what has grown. Once I have my markers, I'm going to take my seedling dipper, and it's kind of just like a pencil. So if you don't have one, you can use a pen or a pencil. And I poke holes into each of those cells. I make sure not to go too deep. If you go too deep, then some of your smaller seeds are not going to pop up into the soil like you want. So make sure to read the recommendation for the depth on each of your seed packets. They will give you a lot of really good guidance on whether that seed should be started indoors or not, as well as how deep to go. Now, these here are Bonnie Best tomatoes, and so I'm going to place them right into the hole. Now, I typically aim to put 1 to 2 seeds per cell, depending on what variety of seed I'm placing in the tray. So for smaller seeds like these tomatoes or peppers, I'll usually put 2 seeds into each of the cells in hopes that at least one of them will germinate. When it comes to larger seeds like cucumbers or squash, they usually will just get one. But once those are in place, I'm going to make sure I add my markers, and then I can just use my hand to um, put the soil over the top of each of the seeds. I don't want to add a bunch more soil on top, especially if they're small seeds. I'm just going to kind of move the soil I already have over each of those holes to ensure that the seeds are covered. Once the trays are marked and the soil is over each of the seeds, we just take our spray bottle and spray it evenly over the top. Then we can put the lid on our tray that has adjustable vents and put it in a nice sunny spot. And those seeds are ready to grow. After about a week, we come back and check and see if our seeds have sprouted. There is nothing quite like the excitement of spotting those first little green shoots. And after a long winter, seeing seeds come to life is such a rewarding experience. It's a reminder that warmer days are ahead and that all our hard work will pay off in the garden. Growing our own plants from seed brings a sense of rejuvenation to our homestead. It connects us to the rhythm of the seasons and the joy of a new beginning. So if you're starting seeds this year, let us know in the comments what you are growing. Be sure to check back soon, and we'll see you in the next video.